You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Advance Rhode Island. I'm Dan McKee, a Lieutenant Governor of the state of Rhode Island, and every month we have a show to kind of talk about the things that we're working on in our office, whether it has to do with municipal issues or it has to do with the opioid issues or the Alzheimer's issues. For those who've watched before, we have an array of different topics that we talk about that we think are very important to the state of Rhode Island. As today, we're very fortunate to have a show about products, people who make products in the state of Rhode Island, produce things in the state of Rhode Island, sell things in the state of Rhode Island, and many of them sell their products outside the state of Rhode Island. So we're very excited to be here. As I've said before, we have 39 cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island. I believe everyone's important. Each community is important, and each community that lives in those communities is important, including our small businesses. So welcome everybody here today. It's fabulous to have you here, and we really do appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to talk about what's happening in your businesses and sharing that with the people in the state of Rhode Island. So Elizabeth, we're going to start here and just introduce everybody. Everybody get an introduction and tell us a little bit about the business that you're in, tell a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move from there. So Elizabeth, give us an idea. What's happening in Maiden, Rhode Island?
Maiden Warren is a shop that began as a pop-up holiday shop in Warren for artists and artisans to sell their wares around the holiday season. And that was done for several years, and it was so successful that the person who started it suggested to the artists and artisans that we do it year-round. And so we did, and we've been very successful ever since. I'm a watercolor artist, but I dabble in a lot of different arts. The store is comprised of up to 45 artists, some of them that do pottery, photography, woodwork, ceramics, and everyone works in the store. Everyone takes a shift in the store. We all contribute to the facilities in the store and the rent, and we love it. It's a wonderful group of people. It's beautifully laid out and displayed, and we have events almost every month that we invite the public to.
Located right in Warren.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Sounds great. And you have so I didn't mention this, but my sister, Willoran, is an art teacher, and she has a whole display of things that she does. So is it an open policy, or is it kind of by application, and then the co-op accepts you in a form of like a condo association?
That's a good point. We have a website, maidenwarren.com, that if someone is interested in applying to be an artist in the store, the application, all the information is on there. It's open equal opportunity
Beautiful.
To anyone. We try to get unique pieces of art, and we're starting to expand. We started out with quite a bit of ceramics and two-dimensional paintings, and most recently we've accepted an artist who's also a musician. He makes baskets and he writes songs. So we have music now in the store. Poetry is also being part of the store. So it's not just visual arts, but all the arts that we're open to.
Well, thank you for being here. This is great.
You're welcome.
And Mary Jane, tell us a little bit what's happening at Colonial Mills.
So Colonial Mills is a USA manufacturer of braided textured products. We've been in business for 41 years next month,
Congratulations.
And thank you.
Yes.
We've seen our ups and downs.
Yes.
Definitely. I'm fortunate enough that I've been there for 31 years next month. I'm one of those leave and come back employees. I'm a former school teacher, and when I started there back in 1987, I started as a summer job as a receptionist, but I stayed on and worked my way up the ladder to, at one point I was the VP of sales, managing a sales force across the country. And now my hat is in human resources and accounts payable. So that's what I do there now. But it's interesting how we began. The company, it's a family-owned business, and I truly love it. I mentioned I left a couple of times. That was to pursue the teaching. But I always stayed on in the summertime and came back over school vacations and covered in customer service and different departments. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't sewn any of those rugs, and you really don't want me to do that. But the company was bought by two brothers. They have an accounting background, and I recall, it's now just one brother that owns the company. But I recall the story that he said he came home from his work day one day and told his wife, "I'm not in the accounting business anymore, I'm in the braided rug business." And
That was a surprise.
that was a surprise. She was expecting her first child at the time, and lo and behold, his passion and his good business sense has really brought the company to what it is today. We started out making solid oval braided rugs. I have an example here. This is a chair pad, but it's a solid oval, one color. And if our consumer would accept just solid oval today, that'd be great. We'd be making rugs flying out the door more than what we're doing even now. But the consumer has gotten a lot more savvy, wants different textures and colors and patterns. And so now we've not just do oval, we do rectangle, we do baskets, we do all kinds of different things, adding adornments to those baskets. We make things like tote bags, adding a tassel just makes it a little different. So it's really with that innovation that's kept us successful
and
over the years.
You're not going to be in business for long if you as a business owner myself, and my grandfather started a ice business in the 1920s, and then we transferred into plumbing and kerosene. Today we're into gas. We had to diversify, right? So diversifying and staying and inventing and doing things in a real special way, we need to make sure we do that. So thank you for being here. And you're Pawtucket, right?
Yes,
You're located
in
in
Pawtucket.
Pawtucket. I just, I'll announce the restaurant week that's coming up in Pawtucket and Center Falls before we leave, September 27th
Great.
to September 2nd. We're all in with these businesses. But talking about being an inventor and being, someone who is doing things, Mark, please introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about the things that you've done, and you've got a very, very impressive resume with different awards, and you've had, traveled to California and Italy, and fill in the blanks for us.
Great. I have, I'm an artist, first and foremost, and growing up, in order to be an artist, I was encouraged to become a graphic designer, which I then became a graphic designer, and then being a graphic designer, I realized that I really loved art making. So I had the good fortune to be able to go back to school and had my own graphic design business for a while in California. I jump around a lot, from Massachusetts and Boston to California, Berkeley, and then from there over to Italy, where after getting rid of my graphic design business, bought a couple of old stolen farmhouses and decided to take a little dream and bring it over to Italy and see what I could do with that. So one of the things that I did while I was there is made furniture, which is fun. I got to use old material from the buildings that we were restoring itself. So there was an authenticity to the materials. I was taught from some of the artisans there to use beeswax and turpentine to make this really wonderful paste to put on furniture, on wood. Well, I was using a brush like this. This is the introduction to how my invention came about, because the invention came to me rather than the other way around. I wasn't thinking about an invention at all. I just wanted to get the job finished. So I was winding up with it. So with the brush, I was working similar to this. And for the first time ever in my life, the brush came apart, filled with beeswax and turpentine. So I didn't want to get another brush and make a wreck out of that. So when I put the handle back into the brush, it went in like so, and I thought this is quite interesting. And then I felt it, and the light bulb went and so then I kind of took off on that.
That was pretty good.
So this is all right.
Yeah.
So I finished the job with that, and then I taped the thing up and reused the same brush many times over. So I'll lean into the invention. So when I was inventing, I came up with this thing, I was saying, okay, what else can the paintbrush do? And I thought, well, okay, if I'm going to make a big change to a paintbrush, it should kind of look like a paintbrush. So I had to go back like that. And so then, well, could I make the Swiss Army knife out of paintbrush handles? And that couldn't be done. But I did wind up with coming up with an idea of having it be able to hang, which I'll show you later on.
Yes.
And because that way your hands could stay clean. And
That'd be good. Because as an amateur painter myself, not an artist, of course, coming out of college, we were always painting the houses. I was the fool that would go up to the third story and get that that
view,
even. But when I saw one of the painters actually flip the ladder from that position, that was it for me. I was done. No more painting. But
it's really
but that was a little scary. Yeah. But thank you for being here.
I don't blame you for becoming a lieutenant governor from there. I'd go right into politics.
Well, it took me a while, but yes, I got out of the paint, the college painting, and to make a couple bucks to
probably
gas
good
in the
move.
car. Yeah, pretty good move. Jerry, tell us about yourself. I've been able to visit your shop in Warwick.
You have. It was a pleasure having you, Dan. I'm Jerry Bucci, President, CEO of Warwick Ice Cream Company. We're actually celebrating, I believe, our 88th year in business in Rhode Island this year. We make premium ice cream products. We try to source locally. Back in the day, there was farms everywhere around. That's a little more scarce now, so it's difficult, but we still manage to get local cream, local sugar when we can buy from local suppliers. And we put it all together. We make premium products. We sell our products in Mass, Rhode Island, Connecticut, with our own distribution routes. And then about 15 years ago, I decided to co-brand with other companies. So we co-pack products for companies that New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and they distribute those products all over the country. One I think I showed you when you came out was the dog product. It's done very well. It's all over the country. People love their dogs, their pets. So it's one of the signature things that we've been doing for some time. We're trying, last couple of years, we're trying to have fun. Ice cream should be fun. We want you to have fun, enjoy it. And so we came up with some theme ideas based on Rhode Island situations. The latest incarnation is going to be Moonstone Peach Vanilla. I got it right here.
There you go.
The theme being nothing to hide, so it's just vanilla, premium
So you're
product.
like the Ben and Jerry's of Rhode Island?
Yeah. Well, we're working. Actually, my brother's name is Tom, so we're Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry.
Even better.
Cat and mouse.
So we're having some fun with it. We co-branded with a local coffee syrup company. We've been many years. That's done very, very well. We're also launching a new product this summer with a local, very well-known lemonade company. So we'll be doing a lemonade-based ice cream product. It's done very well.
Is there any other ice cream manufacturers in the state of Rhode Island?
We're the last manufacturer in Rhode Island. We take all the raw ingredients, we source them, put it all together in big vats and pasteurize it. No one else in Rhode Island has that capability.
Yeah, so I think that we should be recognizing you as such, right, as the ice cream maker in Rhode Island.
The preeminent.
I think we've talked about that, yeah.
Yes.
We would like to be the official Rhode Island ice cream, yeah, that'd be great. So we want to have fun. We want you to have fun. We want you to enjoy the product. And
Well, you got a good crew there. They were very, very generous with your time when I did tour your plant,
Yeah,
right
yeah.
on Route 2 there in Warwick,
yeah.
and so it's great. Yeah, and we've been telling people wherever we go, hey, we got some of that's produced right here in Rhode Island, and if you have a choice, it's a good product. We should be selecting
Well,
the
we
things that are
appreciate
made
that,
in Rhode
you know.
Island. So we
We-
want to be highlighting that.
We've grown a lot in the last several years. We've hired more people. I've invested heavily in infrastructure, equipment, machinery, trucks, so we could produce and keep up the levels of production that are needed. So it's all worked very well. And like I say, we're at a point now we'd like to expand warehouse space, and maybe we could talk about that. At
Yeah,
some
so
point,
that
you
was
know.
part of our manufacturing tour.
Yeah.
We really pay attention to the small business things, Jerry. So if we're going to do a manufacturing visit, we go to one in every community in the state of Rhode Island, all 39, and
Yeah.
that was the one that we visited
Yeah.
in Warwick. And transitioning a little bit, we had a farm tour that was recently, right? And Alex, we visited your shop in Exeter, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
well, we visited farms throughout the state of Rhode Island. It was pretty interesting. I was the chairman of the National Lieutenant Governors Association last year. And so I said, well, I'm going to go visit some of these lieutenant governors in different spots in the country. And I made a couple visits, 1 day, 2 days, everything. But I went to the Iowa Farm Show. And so I said, well, I should learn a little bit more about what's happening in farming here right in Rhode Island. And so we did that. And we did a tour of 39 farms. And I think we got up to 60 farms. And there was all these different variations out there, from the oyster farms, in the harbors, to the blueberry farms, to the natural poultry, the natural beef farms there. But one of the ones I really liked was the dairy farms, right? Where the dairy, and you have put together a cooperative, and those people out there watching, they'll recognize the name Rody Fresh if you go shopping like I did on Saturday. I don't go shopping every Saturday. But I did go shopping Saturday, and I pulled the Rody Fresh right up. So tell us a little bit about not only the organization, but also the farm that, the work that's being done on the farms.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Alex Laprise. I'm the managing director of Rody Fresh. On a personal level, I'm also a fifth-generation dairy farmer. The farm you came out and saw is in Exeter, Emma Acres. It's a family operation. It started as a 4-H project, and it's kind of grown to be our own standing farm. So we are one of the 4 members of Rody Fresh. Rody Fresh was started in 2004 with a group of local farmers that wanted to help subsidize their low paycheck from the milk, because milk gets paid it's very cheap for them. So as the years have gone on, as you sort of mentioned, dairy farms in Rhode Island have decreased. I think we're down to 8 in the state of Rhode Island, and there used to be over 300 just in our state alone. So,
Yes. Cumberland Farms,
yes.
Cumberland,
Yes,
right? With the
yep.
Otis family, that's right in my hometown.
So the 4 farms that still remain in Rody Fresh, we have Escobar, Highland, and Portsmouth. We have Breen Hollow in West Greenwich, and we have Elm Rock Farm in Ashaway, and then my own personal farm in Exeter that we operate. So Rody Fresh still is here. Any profit we make, we go and divide up among our 4 farmers. So everything we do is for the farmers. We're more of a marketing platform for them. We buy the product in and sell it to different food chains throughout the state, grocery stores, universities, that sort of stuff. And then, like I mentioned, it all goes back to the farmers.
So it was fantastic, and I know some of the visits we made there, heck, we got a hands-on approach, taking a look at the milking that was going on.
Yeah.
I think there might have been even a calf being born either the day or the day before, or the day after I was visiting your place, right?
Yes.
So, so it was fantastic, and what I thought was really, really educational for me. We've been in business for a long time. All right, the ice business I talked about with my grandfather, what dated back like 1917. We're still trying to figure out how to, maintain a business, and family business is not easy, and it's challenging, but it has a lot of rewards to it. But what I wanted to do now is, I just want to introduce the fact that, so one of the things that I did as Lieutenant Governor, when I was chair of the National Lieutenant Governors Association, I asked everybody, right around about last year at this time in the summer, was my last meeting as chairman. I said I wanted the lieutenant governors to come in and put an idea on the table that, not just an idea, but something that they actually got going, something that's working, something that's doing that. So right now, one of the things that we did was we're in the middle of a Lieutenant Governor's Entrepreneurial Challenge. So we went out to all the high schools, we raised some dollars for scholarship money, and we just whittled down about 50 business plans down to 5 business plans, and we're going to be at New England Tech for a TV show, hopefully on-site TV show in August, to actually do the Shark Tank with them. So that was one of the ideas I brought back. But the other idea was the Lieutenant Governor of Missouri mentioned to me that they were doing a promotion out of the Lieutenant Governor's office there about products that are made in their state and sold in their state. So I wanted to just go around a little bit. You know, we shared a little bit about what we've been doing, but I wanted to hear a little bit more detail of the products themselves, of like the type of things that are going on. And if you mention something, maybe the camera can see this wonderful table over here that we put. That was a great display, right, of that work. So why don't we start again right here, Elizabeth, and give us a little bit more in-depth thought process of what's being done and how it's being sold and how it's being marketed, and give us a little bit of the business model you're using.
Wow. Maiden Warren is a diverse group of, right now we have 37 artists, and as the artists come in, as they're juried in, they're asked to work on committees so that everyone has a little bit of input into what's happening. I'm on an events committee. There's also a promotion committee, a jury committee, a facilities committee. And so we not only, and we work in the store as well. So some of the products that are on the table there, you can see we have ceramics, we have glassware, we have multimedia, we have beautiful jewelry, paintings, baskets, wooden fish, abstract art, all different kinds of art.
And stained glass artists as well.
Stained glass artists. We have textiles. This is only a portion of what is in our store. I tried to pick something from different disciplines, but there were some that I wasn't able to come in and just overload everything, of course. But we have 2 stained glass artists whose work is beautiful. We have a textile artist. We have a ceramic artist who also grows flowers and uses the flower in paper making.
Oh boy.
So we have cards that are individually produced, prints, photography,
Puzzles.
puzzles.
I met the puzzle maker the other yesterday in Providence.
Yes.
At a kind of a local display show for the young kids in the community.
She does the puzzles, and she also does beautiful art, very large art. And the people who are in the shop are they come from such varied backgrounds, and they have their own stories. For instance, the puzzle maker. She's worked all over the world, Budapest, you know, and she just has a very charming personality. But your question was, how does it all work?
Yeah, kind of. So how do you letting people know? Or is it just word of mouth with the artists themselves? Because what you just outlined in the products that you just talked about and what's being created there, that's part of what we want to be promoting, is that there's many great artists in the state of Rhode Island that end up here or began here, and we want to make sure we're supporting them.
Sure.
So are you? Do you have? We're going to be putting up contact information, but in terms of the products themselves and the storefront right on Main Street, right in Warren, right? You're located right in Warren.
Right in Warren.
And so, and who's coming in and buying the products from you? Are they Rhode Islanders? Are they coming in because they're tourists that are here? Are they destination to see what's going on?
Some of them are tourists. We reach out to customers through social media. We have a Facebook page. We use Instagram and, of course, our web page.
Social media.
We have a customer
world.
base, which we send out notices every month of what's going on. We also have a PR crew that writes up press releases, distributes it to magazines made in Rhode Island, like Motif magazine, which is free, the Providence Journal, local papers, East Bay Chamber of Commerce. We try to get involved with all of that. And we've been very successful. We have a nice customer base of visitors and locals.
Nice.
However, one of our newest directions is we want to do more collaboration with the other businesses in Warren. For instance, we're looking forward to a Warren Street Festival in August, where as many of the merchants in Warren that want to participate can participate. And we look forward to opening it up to the public with music, entertainment, and maybe street displays. We participate with the Bristol Warren Art Gallery nights, and those are once a month. We have something called the Warren Walkabout in October, where galleries are opened up and artist studios are opened up, and there's entertainment and music and food. Food's very important.
It is.
Well, and we've had the Hope and Maine here as a guest, in terms of their food there, and the reason I kind of asked a little bit about how you're promoting the stores. When we get around the second round, we're going to be asking that question. Well, how can the state help? So to be thinking about that. But I would just tell you, my wife Susan and I really enjoy Warren, the Bristol area. Your bike path is an absolute gem.
It is.
To be able to do that, it's just fantastic. So, and I had a friend of mine that I went to college with way long ago, a lot of years ago, still living up in Worcester, that was texting me from the bike path.
Wow.
Him and his wife are actually on the bike path down there, so it's a favorite not only of Rhode Islanders, but people outside of Rhode Island. Tell us a little bit more about the products and where you're selling them and how you're selling them and where people are buying these things that you're making that are really one-of-a-kind items in a lot of ways, right?
Well, so I thought I'd start with the product itself. I think one of the things that has really been interesting about the braided product itself is that it started out in New England with Pilgrims using strips of fabric, and it really wasn't so much about the design element as about covering the floor and keeping some warmth in the home. But of course, the design element is really very important now. So of course, I brought some products here, but I also thought I would show how it begins. So we are the manufacturer. We don't manufacture the raw material. We do bring that in. We have one Canadian supplier of yarn, but the rest we do try to keep it domestic. And so the yarn comes in big skeins, and it gets wound down into a smaller bobbin, if you will. And this bobbin can create a solid braid. That's how this was made. Or by mixing in two, you get something like this. So then this is actually 3 bobbins that is braided together. It's 2/3 navy, this color, 1/3 red, that color. We could do the opposite of that. 2/3 red, 1/3 navy. So you see the same 2 colors can create a totally different looking braid. And how it's sewn together, that's a whole nother facet. Same navy, but now this is a different braid where we have woven it. This is what we call a cable lock braid, and it's similar to the shoestring. If you think about tying your sneaker, this is just a little bit wider. So we've trademarked the name cable lock. And so basically we have the 2 styles, the flat braid and the cable lock braid, and that is really all that how it begins.
Yeah, and it's fascinating when you go to these shops. If you've never been to a manufacturer, and I just in amazement, because as a mayor I was going to Hope Global and other places like that, right, that they had their own, and I would imagine the same, they have their own manufacturing technique.
We do.
They figured out,
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised, and this one down in Hope Global where they do shoelaces to car parts that they braid. They had like a fishing pole that they were using that was actually kind of bringing the weave through, the thread through. But so there's unique ways. I'm sure that it's been trial and error, right?
Yes, a lot of different combinations, and we see, what's going to sell. So it all depends on the consumer demand. So you asked, where do we sell our products?
Yes.
How do we promote ourselves? What is our marketing? It all really starts from brand. We've gone over the years of changing our logo. That logo is very important because it's how you are associated. And at one point, our logo was actually the inside of a nautilus, which actually looked like a rug that was rolled together. And the nautilus with New England, but it still didn't communicate our real product. So now we have an actual braid. I'm wearing a sweater that has our logo on it, and it's about associating everything with braid. We have 88 employees, and we have a winding department, a braiding department, and then the sewing department is really where it all happens. And some of our products are created at the sewing level, some of them are created at the braiding level, but everything gets sewn. So we've promoted that story and the whole process through videos, and we've been featured in Maiden America, several others. It'll come to me at some point. And getting that message out, definitely through social media, through we have a company store, and we do local advertising. We do advertising in Rhode Island Monthly, and we've been involved in projects at Slater Mill. So it's.
And your product is not just sold in Rhode Island, right?
Oh no, it's sold. We have lots of different channels. We sell through retailers that sell their products on the internet. We sell in some of the big box type stores. We sell through catalog. So if it's a braid out there, it's probably ours.
Well, it's a lot of work, but we appreciate the fact that there's 88 jobs there for people to earn a living on, and that's one of the things that we got to continue to reinforce is that the entrepreneurs and the owner there, the family that owns the facility, and knowing that we have businesses that continue today in our family, but we also have businesses that ended. There's not many. We weren't in the business of the blockbuster video, but that ran its course, right?
It did.
And that's what happens.
Yes.
And if you don't continue to figure it out, then it does end. And so congratulations to
One
keep
thing that we've
businesses
been
going.
really successful with is we've been able to tap into our employees for the ideas. And you think, the management of the company, they can have wonderful ideas, but when it comes down to practical application, it's really the people on the floor that know if that idea on paper is going to work.
That's a
I'm
big
sure you
help.
understand that. So we've adapted a principle of business called open book management that was developed from a manufacturing company in Springfield, Missouri. And he came up with the idea of doing business and showing the scorecard, doing it as a game, if you will. And he modeled his business model was the great game of business. If you show the scorecard, which is your financial statement, if you show the employees that, they're going to have more understanding how they can impact that bottom line. So we do a monthly meeting where we show how well we did the previous month. We close our books every month, and we have a budget amount, an actual amount, and show how well we did. It's all based on profit. We could be selling thousands of rugs, but if we're not profitable, it doesn't matter. If it's discounted to the hilt, then we still need to pay our expenses, pay our employees. And there have been some times where we had trouble paying our employees. So we've reached out to Rhode Island. I know I'm talking a lot about
Yes.
different things, but we reached out to Rhode Island. We were involved in some of the programs that they offered at one time. They had a work share program. We took advantage of that. There were some years that we had to do that. We've worked out of that, and we've really tapped into our employees as the best resource of getting those ideas. And
Educating is really important, and but also the resources that are available, because I get it, because we've been in business for a while, and we've rode this roller coaster in Rhode Island, and when I come back in the last kind of time frame, it's kind of, okay, what can we do? What are the type of things that we can do to make sure that we increase the business friendliness, because it's to everybody's advantage, just like you said.
there's a lot of partners in Rhode Island. Maybe people don't know about them,
Yeah.
but Rhymes, Rhode Island, I can't remember
Rima,
where they.
Rhode Island
Yep, and then they've
Manufacturers
recently
Polaris.
rebranded as Polaris. We've had to do
Yep.
some debt restructure many years ago with the Rhode Island Economic Development Commission. We've had to go through some of these tough times, but I can say, knock on wood, we've been
Yes.
profitable
Yeah.
the last several years, so we're doing really well.
Well, congratulations
Knock
on
wood.
that, because I don't think that there's unless you're really experienced as you have, Mary Jane. It's always challenging
It
to
is.
try to run a small business, and they're so important. And I think that unless you actually do it, sometimes people take that for granted. They think that the economy just falls from the sky, and it just materializes, and all of a sudden now you didn't have to work for it. But we know you guys are doing a great job there, working
Thank
to make
you.
sure things happen. All right, everybody's been waiting for what this contraption is here. You just gave us a little idea, Mark, of how you thought of this idea.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about how you're manufacturing this, and show the pass that down so you can kind of see, what caused the brainstorm and that wow moment, right, that you just described before, and tell us a little bit about it.
This baby has evolved over a period of years, not years, but months and months of trial and error of what's going to work really, really nicely to the hand. So I came up with the design, which is give your thumb a place to be, and the handle sits inside of your hand. So the ergonomics is sound, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to back up to painting, and the thing that is a general problem with painting, but people find as a problem, is that this thing is held, and you can't get a good accurate line with it. So people like to paint accurately, and so this was failing in that regard. It's been failing in a couple of other locations as well. But let's stick with the paint with the line. So because this is manufactured with such really top quality bristles, this is real professional stuff. You get an edge that is razor sharp. So that allows you to get down into an edge that is just like a knife. And so what are the benefits of that? So if you're using a brush, like a standard brush, without a really good bristles, people have a tendency to want to tape around the windows, tape lines all over the place, and then you paint, and then you peel the tape off, and you got a handful of painted tape, oftentimes with paint on your hands, and then you've got to fill in the little gaps where the paint crept underneath the tape.
Sure.
So this is another advantage. So you don't have to do tape, you don't have to throw stuff away, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the other aspect of this, several other aspects, and I'm going to bounce all over the place.
That's all right. This is an invention.
It's an invention.
Tell us, the more we hear about it, the better we understand what's going on. Tell us a little bit more about it, and then let us know how people can, where they can pick one up.
Okay, back to the invention.
Yes.
So I'm kind of like, what else can I do I decided that one of the problems is where a paint can where you can put the brush while you're working. You know,
Yeah.
so put it down, and inevitably whatever it's on is going to get paint on it, and your hand is going to automatically gravitate towards that wet spot.
Yes.
It's like, you know, it's
It's like a
I
magnet.
mean,
Especially
oh,
if it's
yeah.
oil-based paint. It's like, oh my God.
goodbye.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you're going to clean up your hands and So I developed up this hanging hook, which, as you can see on that paint can.
Maybe you
It
can
hangs
just
on
zero
the-
in on that. Yeah, the paint can there. Yeah.
So that hangs on the outside of the paint can.
Yeah.
But that wasn't going to be good enough. I had to make it so that it could do more than that. So the length of the handle is perfectly long enough to fit just on the outside of the inside of the paint can, so that it can sit inside the paint can on the rim, meaning that if you want to clean your paintbrushes or put some water in there and drop your water-based paint brush in there, it's going to stay cleaner and start to clean itself automatically. So another aspect of painting is cleaning up, probably the worst part about painting. So a couple of things. The plastic of this handle doesn't let paint stick on it. So you can clean it off back to absolutely perfectly clean again. Another thing is the brush itself can now fit underneath a sink faucet, and so the water can run directly into the bristles, really doing some deep cleaning. You can't do that with a standard brush like that. And so am I moving too fast?
No, we're doing good.
All right. So another thing that would bother me about the paintbrush is that my hand would cramp. My fingers would get tired, and my wrists would get tired, and so I was getting fatigued by working. So when I developed this, right pretty much from the get-go, I knew that it was ergonomically correct. So I took it over to a physical therapist, and she said, "Yeah, you're using different set of muscles. You're not using your fingers to handle this. This sits in your hand." So then I said, "Okay, this is really cool. Let's get some professional information about it." So I took it over to URI Physical Therapy Department, and they did some very serious testing on the ergonomics of the brush. Ergo, it sits in your hand. The muscles that you're using to paint with are your forearm, and your hand is at a neutral position. That's what they call neutral position. So your hand is like relaxed to begin with, and it stays relaxed without squeezing the paintbrush. So you wind up with being able to paint longer, and if you're using your arm, which has really good strong muscles, then your accuracy is far better. So everything kind of like works out.
So how long ago did you invent, and how long has it been the brush been produced?
I invented it in Italy, got a patent in Italy, and then went and said, "Wow, that's a pretty good job." And then didn't do anything. I just kind of patted myself on the back. So then after leaving Italy, I came back to the United States, and I had this patent and some wooden paintbrushes, and I thought, I got to give this thing a shot. So I shopped it around to various manufacturers, and there were fewer and fewer paintbrush manufacturers. So from, I think, 2004 is when I had the original idea, 5 or 6 for the patent. Give or take, and don't hold me to any numbers, because numbers and names. So
You're an inventor.
I'm an inventor. This is not my job. The numbers are not my problem. They are a problem. Anyway, the point is that they are being distributed now around some local paint stores, and I can give people information through my email.
Yeah, we'll post that up so people can contact you directly.
All right. And I don't know what else I can tell you about this. It's kind of fun. it's kind of cute looking.
Do you
thing.
does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I almost want to paint my house now.
I was thinking,
This is great. I like it.
you said that you had extensive testing. Did you get them to paint your house?
No, unfortunately, no. But but
Do they come in, and that's what, a 2.5 inch
This is
brush?
a 2.5. I ran out of funds to be able to make it into the 2-inch
Okay,
size.
yeah.
That's the size I really would like to make this into. And so that's where maybe RI can come into play, and we can make it up into a 2-inch size. And I think that would expand the market considerably. This is the most popular size paintbrush. And so professional painters, everybody, it's like your basic thing. And in marketing, what I found out that it is difficult to change people's minds from what this looks like, which is a paintbrush, to what this looks like is that they don't identify it with a paintbrush. But a smaller size paintbrush would be called a specialty brush, and that changes the identity of the object. So it's no longer a paintbrush, which is a picture of something like this. You see a logo all over the place with these things on it, to something that's a specialty tool that does all the things that, accuracy, ergonomic, easy to clean up, fun to use. And what I wanted to do was expand the audience. I wanted people who were going to retire or retired, who also may have had some arthritis. They could then pick up a paintbrush and do the hobby things that they wanted to do.
Well, the inventing is really the unique thing. You took something and you changed it. I heard yesterday there's going to be a new pizza box. It's going to be out there. Somebody's thinking about what a pizza box would look like today, right?
Yeah.
So these are the type of things that I think that are creative, and we need to make sure that I have this talking point where I talk about young people in the state of Rhode Island, and we really need to double down on them, regardless what it is. But we need the innovators, we need the people who can invent, the people who can create, because those are the people who are going to really establish the next level of the economy. So good luck with the brush, and we're going to talk a little bit about potentially how we might be able to work with you. We had a show with a couple different funding sources of people that were looking at to try something as simple as creating a coconut butter, and there was a grant that they were able to get to kind of move them forward on a machine to do coconut butter. But the inventing is very important.
Yeah, I want to make a point on the
Yes.
inventor just very
Yes.
shortly. Is that I was not an inventor. I don't consider myself an inventor. I did invent, and then it spun off a few things. But the open-mindedness is what's the key. And then once your mind is open, you can see, hey, there might be another way to do this. And then you kind of start to see if you can't go down that rabbit hole.
I think it's the type of thinking that we need in Rhode Island, right? We need to continue to say, how are we going to do it better? How are we going to do it better?
Yeah, with the resources you've got.
Yeah. Jerry?
And to that point,
Yes.
that's kind of like what we've been doing. We're trying to reinvent and make ice cream interesting, fun, with the flavors and playing off of some Rhode Island themes and that kind of thing. Warwick Ice Cream basically is a multifaceted company. First of all, we manufacture, so we have to source all the raw ingredients from wherever. Then you got to think about packaging. So that product takes some form of packaging, be it a cup, a pint, a half-gallon ice cream sandwich with the wafers, all that kind of stuff. So we have to consider that. We have to store it. Then you got the logistics part of it. So we have a fleet of 5 trucks. Every day they're in different directions. Well, we have to pick it, stage it, load it. Then the drivers go out and do their routes every day. And also on the other side of it, we have a distribution side, which we distribute national name brand products. Dove bars, Snicker bars, popsicles, fudgicles, that kind of thing. So with that comes a freezer program. So we have basically, say, 1,000 freezers out in the field. If you go to a convenience store or a small market, you'll see the little freezers. Most likely that's us. So we supply the freezers, and then with that you have to maintain them because eventually they're going to break. So we have a couple of guys every day out pulling freezers, remanufacturing freezers, cleaning them, servicing them, putting them back in service. That's always an ongoing thing. So there's a lot of different facets to it. what we do. And sometimes logistically it can be challenging. You know, we got to do this. You got to do 5 things at once, and you got people going in all different directions. And I got to sit down and think, all right, let's prioritize. We'll do this, this, and this, and we'll get it done that way.
Yeah, so some of the things that are being talked on, we're going to get into the next round in Rhode Island, but while you're talking today, I mean, right now is that we're trying to figure out a way where the bigger the bigger institutions do business with small business, and there's been a program that's just been launched to do specifically that.
That's exactly
but
right.
that would help your business, correct?
One of the founding, my grandfather founded the company on government contracts. There was a big Navy presence back at Newport, Groton, Connecticut. And we did that for many years. I would bid on it every year. Some years you don't get it, but it was a lot of volume. Well, the Navy presence and the service is less and less. Sub-base in Groton, I think, has dwindled. But for me I approached a couple years ago and said, I'd like to initiate contact. How do I get a bid? You can't. You got to be a prime vendor. So the government's going to prime, as you may know, prime vendors, where they can get everything, all sourced. So that kind of cuts the little guy out. And before, if you were a small business or certain nationalities, you could get consideration just based on that alone. That's not the case anymore. So it's more and more difficult to find new markets and new outlets. And you can't really stand still. You know, we used to do this, well, you can't do that anymore. You have to change and evolve. And that's what we do. And the kids today, the young generation with the social media, I think it's great. You know, I'm a little lax on that kind of thing, but you know, my generation. But they're doing a great job. They're out on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, I think they call it. And,
Oh yes. Oh, it's all there. Alex probably knows about it more.
Alex would probably know. Yeah, she's her generation.
But that program, we're going to get you more information. We want people out there to know that if they are in a small business, especially the service business or a product that can be sold in Rhode Island, there's an effort right now to start to identify the importance of our small business community. And if our universities are doing business, whether it's ice cream or milk or whatever it is, we want to see a preference given to our Rhode Island businesses in that space.
I think that's exactly right.
And so you being here today does just that. It reinforces to hundreds of people, and then we'll be able to you'll be able to social media out this show, take clips, and you're going to be tell people about what's going on. But Rody Fresh, give us a little idea about, you know, how's it happening? You're taking it from the farm to the market and beyond. That's a tough process.
Yeah, it's a little complex
Yes,
because, as I mentioned, we're more of a marketing platform for the farmers. So we don't pay the farmers their milk check. They all belong to a co-op called Agrimark, which is known for selling Cabot cheese. That's another New England-based cooperative. So they sell their milk to Agrimark, the farmers, and it travels to 2 local processing plants that we deal with. They buy it from Agrimark, and then we buy it from the processor. So Rody Fresh is buying it back in your half gallon, your gallon, your half pint, all the sizes we do. And then we resell it. We have our own distribution channel. We have 3 trucks, and we distribute it to the grocery stores. And as we were mentioning before, we have 4 large private schools that we sell to, and they keep our head above water. I mean, we wouldn't be who we are without the support of these local schools. And as mentioned, I know that Rhode Island is working with the public institutions and everything goes out to bid, but because of the structure I just mentioned, our costs are higher than the guy that can sell it right from their processing plant. So we put out bids to some of the public institutions and we're just too high, and they are forced to buy someone that falls within the local category, and they can say that it's local, but it's coming from Connecticut or Massachusetts, and they're able to say, oh yes, we're supporting our local business, but you're not supporting Rhode Island local.
Yeah, so I encourage people to go to the store. Rody Fresh is a good example of something that is employing people in Rhode Island. You're keeping a family operation alive. You're keeping a farm alive. We know how difficult that is. We found as we were doing the tours of the different farms that there was many barriers for entry in for young people, like Alex, to get involved, or even first generation, the cost of the land, was really very high, and there was prohibitive type of thing. So we need to just keep on plugging and making sure
Yes,
you guys stay
yeah.
in business.
Yeah.
And
It's getting
Escobar, we
tough,
visited the
yeah.
Escobar farm as well.
Yes.
And they're wonderful people, and yeah, so farming is very important to Rhode Island to
Yeah.
keep that alive and well. So let us know how we can help with that. I want to just finish. We've got maybe like, oh, go ahead.
I have
Yes.
an idea.
Yes. Okay. Ideas. We like ideas. We're going to invent something right now, everybody. Okay.
Well, I'm looking at this little logo for Advanced Rhode Island, and I was thinking, what if there was like a little bumper sticker or sticker to go on products that was small, that could go on like a rack card that said Advanced Rhode Island or Buy Rhode Island, so that when people were buying products, they could steer towards the ones, and you could promote it through television too.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
radio.
a great idea. It's kind of an extension of what we were talking about in Missouri. But what we need is a buy-in from people who will say, let's take the time to be creative in terms of how you would use that, and then dovetail into things that are already happening right now. I think that's a fabulous idea. We'd love to follow up with you, especially with the art, the art runs.
I have one thing I'd like Dan to follow. Last year, flying out to Florida, we do once a year, and I'm in Rhode Island Green Airport. They have a Rhode Island-based store there. So naturally, I go in and I start talking to people, and there was a lot of Rhode Island-based products in it, but there was one problem. There was an out-of-state ice cream company in there. So I contacted the powers that be and said, well, we have a national contract, and we don't care who you are, and that kind of thing. I forget the name of the company. And I've never been able to break through that barrier. You know what I mean? I said, why aren't we as Warwick Ice Cream or a local company represented in this venue? And we're not, and they won't even give us the opportunity to go in.
Yeah, so
maybe
our
that's something you can work
our
on.
office would be very interested in facilitating a plan, but I like
Yeah.
plans. So
Yeah.
we should have, if we're willing to do it for your business,
Yeah.
we should be willing to do it for Rody Fresh. We should be willing
Absolutely.
to do it for the different shops. So if we're going to reconvene a core group of business people. I can tell you that last week, and we're running out of time now, but last week we brought in a national company. And one of our goals is, as working and trying to bring in the business community, is to elevate our business friendliness in the state of Rhode Island. So some of it's perception, some of it's real, and we need to really nail down. So Thumbtack is a national company. We had in 2 times during, I've mentioned before the show, 2 times in 2015. They have a couple million small service business, and they rank us in terms of business friendliness. And we've moved up a grade and a half since I've been in office, but it's still not where we want it to go. So what we want to do is we want to take initiatives like this, let you be aware of it, bring your ideas in that will allow us to kind of continue to increase the business friendliness in the state. Our office, that's one of our goals, is to really achieve an A in business friendliness, and we're going to keep on working to do it. But having you all here today is a step in that direction, and that's what you do. You do an incremental improvement strategies, coming up with ideas. So thank you all for being here today. This was just fabulous. The
One more
discussion.
closing thing, Dan.
Give a closing thing. What do you got there?
The holidays are coming
You okay?
quickly, so
Okay.
I'd like to present you
Oh, look at this.
with the-
And Bob's coming in with a little ice cream.
with the
He's
official
already
Warwick
doing
Ice
it.
Cream Christmas tree ornament.
Christmas tree ornament.
That's
Wonderful. That'll go right in my office.
Made
and then
made
on
in
my,
China, by the way. so-
And then, made in China. I can't have that. But at least it's got the Warwick ice cream on there.
Yeah, there you go. So
That's
hang that-
wonderful.
Hang
I
that on
was
your
so
tree with pride.
interested in the show.
Yes.
I was watching the show.
That you ate all the ice
You got
cream.
hungry.
Did you save any?
I'm not kidding at all.
Yeah.
I seriously am not kidding. This was
Well-
a whole pint of ice
Oh my
You know
God.
what? Eat all you want. We'll make more.
cream. Very good ice
He
cream.
knows the
Thank you.
manufacturer.
Thank you all for coming into Advanced Rhode Island.
you.
Appreciate
Thank
it
you.
very
Thank you.
much. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you next month. Please call our office if you have any ideas to help our local small businesses. Thank you.